Hey guys, how's it going? In today's tutorial, we have two very simple effects that we're going to be creating. And when I say simple, I mean they're very simple. But they're cool effects that you can use regardless. So the first one, as you can see, is going to be this one right here. Let me go ahead and press play.
Great job.
So there you go. This is a ghosting technique right here, and it's creating it using Premiere. The second one over here is
Great job.
there you go. So those are the two effects that we're going to be creating. This one is very simple as well, and so this one does the exact same thing, except you don't change the colors around. So without any more stuff, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this one and save it. Yes. And then now I'm going to go ahead and open up Premiere again. Okay, so the first thing is make sure you're creating a new project. In this project panel, make sure that you're choosing a place to save it. I'm going to save it into my documents. As you can see right here, documents, I already have it there. So documents, yes, cancel. And then I'm going to go ahead and title it JCDV Ghosting. And then click OK. So after we've done that, you should have Premiere open. If it asks you to create a new sequence, just remember, press cancel. We're not creating a new sequence. In your projects panel right here, you're going to double click and go ahead and include the the video that I provided for you. So it's going to be this one, JCVD green screen. And then we're going to go ahead and drag this guy over into our new item icon right here. And that creates the sequence that we need. So now, as you can see, we have the video here that shoots and then says great job, right? So the very first thing we're going to want to do is, I like to mess around with my workspace here. With my workspace, I'm just going to drag this up because I don't need to see my video at the moment, but I do whatsoever need to see my timeline. Another shortcut that you can do is, if you press on the left side of the one is that little squiggly line. If you press that squiggly line and you have this selected, then it goes into full screen. So whatever place you have selected, you can make it go into full screen by pressing that little squiggly line. So that works too. So I'm gonna go ahead and full screen this little guy right here. And what we're gonna do is create new tracks. So right click, add tracks. And we're going to add, we already have 3, so we'll add 5 tracks after video 3, which gives us 8. I'll go ahead and delete this one. So really we need 4 tracks, not 5. So we're going to need 7 tracks, and now what we'll do is right click on the green screen, and we're going to unlink, so that way we don't have the audio selected. And holding Alt on our keyboard, it allows us to duplicate, and now we have a copy of this guy up at the very top. So I'm going to go ahead and press that squiggly line again and go over to my effects. And the effect we're going to be working with is called non-red, and then non-red key. So this one right here. This non-red key, I'm going to go ahead and drag it to the video on video 7. So I'll just go ahead and make this tall here so I can see both of those. So when we drag this over here, of course our line's now going to turn red because we don't have that rendered out. And I'm going to scroll down to my effects. Whoa, sorry, here, normal. Down to my effects controls. Make sure that you see this one right here that says threshold under the non-red key. If you see the threshold one, you're going to go ahead and press 15%. And from there, now we have this one here at threshold 15%, and we have it with the non-red key, which is what we're going to need for the rest of the videos. So now that we have the effect applied, we can just hold Alt on our keyboard and then just drag it down until we get to video 2. So now that we have it in video 2 and they're all here, we're now going to add this the transition effect of cross dissolve, this one right here. We're going to add it to video 6, to video 5, to video 4, to video 3, and to video 2. So now that we have that, all we need to do is move this slightly to the right, not by too much, just very little, and just like that, each one. There we go. And all these extra stuff, we're just going to drag them back in so that we can have it all matching up together. And voila, there we go. So now, because in my computer I have a lot of RAM, I can just like play through this and I can already see the effect. But the next step would be to press enter, right? And you wait for your computer to go ahead and render this out. Mine's rendering right now. And as soon as it's done, it'll go ahead and play for you. And that's the effect. There you go. Now in this one, because we see a little bit of like a little of see-through, that's due to the threshold. You can adjust this accordingly to however you feel like. But I'm going to just leave it at 15 for now because it's what I felt worked best since it's wearing a black shirt. But yes, that's the effect that we're going for here. And then in this part, I didn't like that he was repeating himself, so I just went and backed to there and just remove everything that we did on that effect to that point. So let me go ahead and move this up again. And there we go. So now when I move this down, this part doesn't create the effect. So hopefully in this small little tutorial, as quick and easy as it was, hopefully you learned a couple of things. One, the squiggly line can maximize the area. Two, that you can drag things around as you need to be, so you can see certain parts. And of course that you learned, how to import your footage, how to rearrange your footage, how to find effects. There's so many things in here that you can use to your advantage that you can play around with. A lot of people always ask me about black and white. How do you switch a picture to black and white? You just search for black. This Hero 3 GoPro stuff added a bunch of stuff to my. But anyways, yeah, black and white image control. You just search, like, there's so many things in here that you can use. Anyways, now that we have the effect here, and hopefully you guys learned some cool, neat tricks with this one, we're gonna go ahead and create a new sequence. Something that I hope you guys are learning as well. So by grabbing this guy here and dragging it over to our new item, we can create a new sequence. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And it creates a new sequence. Right now we have two. So one of them, I want to rename it to 2. That way I know that this is the first one, this is the second one. And in this one, we're going to create the effect of it turning red and green on one side and the other. The way we're going to do that is first unlink our audio so that we have this separated. And by holding Alt, we're going to drag this guy to video 3. Now that he's in video 3, we're going to use under video effects and channels, we're going to use this little guy right here, arithmetic. Or I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm not sure. But we're going to use this guy. What this guy allows us to do is once you go into your effects control and you go down to him, you see red, green, and blue values. And it allows us to change the values of how we're seeing things through this little screen. So by moving the red value all the way to the top, everything turns green. And then our operator, we're going to go ahead and switch this guy over to max. And you can play around with it and see what each one of these does. So they each create like different unique effects, right? So the one we're going to be using is max because that one kind of sticks to the guy alone and then some of the smoke effect over here on the side. So once we do that, we're going to go ahead and minimize this guy and open up the opacity value. Under opacity, we're going to switch the blend mode over to screen. And what that's going to allow us to do is to kind of remove the red and darkness from the video and just kind of apply it only to him. After that, we're going to minimize the opacity and go ahead and go over to position and motion. If motion's closed, just open it up. In position, we're going to move this guy over to the right here. Sorry, not that one. This one, the 960, we're going to move him over to the right, just like so. And you may not be able to see this, but let me see if I can maybe zoom in here. Yeah, you can't see it that much, but there is a little line right here that's red that kind of messes up the video. So what we're going to do is go to linear, and we're going to use linear wipe. Go ahead and place that on top of the video. Once we place it on top of the video, we can go ahead and now change this linear wipe. As we do this, like, it kind of erases parts of it, so we're going to just erase a little bit, like 2% is fine, and then feather this out so that it's kind of soft. There we go. And to me, I think that looks pretty good because it was hardly noticeable to begin with. So I'll go back to fit, and now you can kind of see that, well, you see the line here very, very much. So let's go ahead and try to blur it out as much as we can here. Just like so. Maybe I'm gonna leave that at I'm gonna leave that at 90 where it was, and just kind of move this guy. I want to move it too much, but that looks kind of good to me. And then as soon as it comes over here, you can kind of see them better, right? So now that we have this and the red is there, we're now going to make a copy. If you remember from the other little sequence, if you hold Alt on your keyboard, you can drag it down and it makes a copy. So now all we're going to do is change some of this effects. So we're going to go to motion and linear wipe, close everything out, go over to this part, right around there, and open up this guy here, and we're going to remove the red value completely. Now that the red value is removed, we're going to pick up the green value all the way to 250. We'll go ahead and close that out, go to motion, open it up, and then move the position over to the other side, just like so. Now that we've done that, now you can see the line over here very, very, very much. So we're gonna open up, linear wipe, scroll down to the bottom, and just kind of put like a negative sign right here, and it like puts it into the other way. So that kind of works to our advantage. We don't have to do that much stuff. And now here's the part where it's kind of a little bit tricky, not too much. But what we're going to do is kind of, you see here, you can kind of see that it just, the red one kind of blends in, and we don't want that. So right around this part, we're going to go ahead and add on video 3 a keyframe to position, and then we're going to move it just a tad to around there. And this is where we have to kind of move this over and adjust this, because we need to see this little part. If you can already see it, then obviously you don't need to. But once we've moved it forward a little bit, we're going to add another keyframe. And this arrows right here, that allows to go back and forth between the keyframes. So we're going to go back to the original keyframe and just reset it. Now that it's reset, we're going to click here on video 2. We're going to add a keyframe there. Go back to video 3. Use the arrow to move to the second keyframe, and come back to video 2, and then add a keyframe there. So now we can go to the first one and reset that one. And now we can move this to where we started those keyframes, and then press play or enter to render out our video. And this is it. After this, we're done. All you're going to need to do is export it, and I'll show you right now how to do it. So hopefully that's a cool little effect.
Great job.
You guys might be able to use occasionally on different shots or scenes if you ever need to. So now to export, we have the first and second one here. This one needs to be rendered out, so I'll go ahead and do that and stop. So we're going to go to File and then Export Media. By the way, some of you had this in gray and you couldn't export. That just means like if I'm clicked over here and I go to File and Export, it's gray. You need to make sure that you're clicking on your timeline. So File, Export Media, and then from here what you're going to do is when this window pops up, just make sure that your sequence, your format is set to H.264. Your output, make sure that you click on it and you have it saved to your documents or your folder. So I already have it here, and since we titled our sequence, it already says JCVD green screen, and we're gonna save it in there. So yes, save. And then under video, make sure you click here under video, and all we're gonna do is go down to where it says VBR pass. We're gonna choose CBR, make sure it's set to 6, and then we're just gonna click export. Once we've done that, we'll do the same exact procedure to JCVD green screen number 2, and then you can submit it to Schoology. I know this was an easy assignment. I hope it doesn't take you guys that long to complete, and I hope you actually learn some cool, neat tricks that you can use while you're using Adobe Premiere Pro. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.